learning grammar with context. Grammar rules, where you taught how to frame sentences, and most of you are fluent with your mother tongue, with your right. I was talking to you for a year. So this sentence is not right. I was talked to you for a was, that is the auxiliary and the participle form of the tense, which is was drove the car. I drove the car. I was driving. So it began sometime in the past and then it has been continuing. So up to the present it has been continuing. Hi, I hope you all are doing great. Today's video focuses on grammar, learning grammar with context. Some learners are so stubborn with understanding, not in character, claiming that grammar is the most important aspect of learning. Of course, grammar is important, I do not deny that, but it's not the only part that determines your progress in a particular language, or it's not the only facet that you need to focus on while developing and evolving as a language learner. So please get me right. When I say learning with the context, learning from a context, when it comes to grammar, it's all about the method that you are using to progress as a learner. So some people think that when we frame sentences, we need to know the sentence structure and we need to be very sure about the formulas or the way the sentence is structured. That is, they do not always depend on the structure. They don't take the time to mug it up, or they wouldn't have even read hundreds of grammar books, or they don't always refer to the grammar books as you claim. It's more about imbibing the language. I don't think you would have done all these things while learning or evolving yourself with your mother tongue. Where you taught these grammar rules, where you taught how to frame sentences, and most of you are fluent with your mother tongue, with your native tongue. I'm not speaking about skills here, okay? If you have to convey something to a person, it's not necessary that you need to be skilled. If you just have to speak in a particular language, it's not necessary that you have to be proficient in the language. Even if something is not a passion, you can use that tool to convey, right? So now coming to grammar, learning grammar with a context. Let's take this sentence. I was talked to you for a year. See, I'm making use of some sentences that some of the learners and some of the people use randomly, repetitively with mistakes. I was talked to you for a year. Is it right or wrong? You decide and let me know. Just take a couple of seconds and think about it. Think about why it is wrong, and if you feel that it's right, just think why it is right. What is it that you understand? That's more important, right? Okay. I was talked to you for a year. No, it's not right. I was talking to you for a year. So this sentence is not right. I was talked to you for a year is definitely wrong. I talked to you for a year could be fine, but with more clarity. I'll come to that sentence later. I was talking to you for a year. Okay, for a period of 1 year is the meaning that I was talking to you. I was talking to you for a period of 1 year. Okay, fine. That's like, it is clear without much details, but the duration of the time is given. I talked to you for a year. That's also fine. Now this is past tense and the other one is past continuous. But still, what I would like to tell you is it's better to give some details for clarity. I was talking to you for a period of 1 year and then I don't know what happened. We were not able to connect with each other after that. Maybe because you shifted to Lucknow. I got to know that you shifted to another place and somehow we were not able to connect with each other. So you have the period and then you're trying to add more details before the sentence, or it should be done after the sentence. So when you take the context, you have something conveyed there. And so you may ask me, should I know the whole story for me to convey something? But if you're speaking to a person, yes, I was talking to her for a period of 1 year and nothing happened. There was no change. So maybe you're focusing here on the change that you really expected, and then you give the importance to the duration of 1 year but nothing happened. Maybe that is the context. But by simply saying I was talking to you for 1 year, maybe you're giving some details about the duration and also that the action was continuing for some time when it is past continuous, and the other one is when it's totally over. So what you have to do first is find out when we use past continuous and when we use simple past. Now, what is the difference between talk and speak? Now, there are a lot of places where we can interchange and use both the words, but speak is used when the focus is on the speaker. It's not necessary that there should be a listener. Okay? She is speaking, right? So when I say I'm talking to you, I talk to my friend, I'm trying to tell you that I had somebody to listen to me. Yes? So that's the difference. And talk could be something serious. I listened to the TED talk which had some information and content. Okay, so that is talk. And there you may ask me, there are no listeners. Of course there are listeners there. You have the audience or the viewers. So talk is different, speak is different, and sometimes it's used interchangeably, but generally the general difference, the basic difference is speak is used when the emphasis is on the speaker. Try to find out the difference and try to find out the places where it could be used interchangeably. See, this is the way we research and try to get some context. Now, if you get some lines, okay, some sentences from books, it's okay, but if you're able to understand the context while reading a book, it will help you to evolve. Like, you can just underline where speak is used, where talk is used while reading an article or a novel, and then try to understand it better, the basic difference. Now the next one, we cannot say I was talked to you for 1 year or maybe for 1 week, I don't know, but I was talked to you is wrong. Was is already in the past tense and talked is also in the past tense. I have really heard many learners repeating this mistake. Despite telling them that this is wrong, they just repeat the mistake and they say, I know that I'm making a mistake, but I don't know what to do. You need to practice. You know that your problem is that you are very clear that you use two past tense together in the sense I was, that is the auxiliary, and the participle form of the tense, which is talked. I was drove the car. I drove the car. I was driving the car is right. So was is the auxiliary and driving is the participle form of that particular tense, which is the past continuous form. So you need to be very careful. So instead of studying the structure and how it is put together, I think it's important to understand the meaning and the way it can be used in different contexts. Right? I was talked to you is completely wrong, and please don't make the mistake of putting both the past tense together, because this is what people do. I have been talking to you for 1 year. Okay, sometimes we say we have been talking for almost a year. Sometimes I also get to hear natives say we have been speaking to each other for over a year or so, and I think that we have become close, we need to meet up. We have been. Okay, so perfect, present perfect, continuous tense. We have been speaking. But you cannot say we have been spoken. Wrong. We have been speaking. Perfect, present perfect, continuous tense. Instead of looking at the tense and getting confused, we have been doing it. So it began sometime in the past and then it has been continuing. So up to the present it has been continuing. That is the meaning, and it is a perfect tense. We have been doing it. The problem with many learners is that they mug up the rules. They will make the sentences. But when they speak, there is no clarity, and they say that I know the grammar rules, I'm able to frame sentences also sometimes correctly, I don't make any mistakes, but still the communication is not proper. The communication lacks clarity, and sometimes people say that it doesn't meet the requirements. Still people may not be able to understand what you're trying to say, or there could be fissures of gaps, and it can create more space for miscommunication. So this happens when you, first thing is you put yourself in the shoes of another person, whether another person will be able to understand what you're trying to say. Okay, so I was speaking to you for 1 year. Okay, so what is it that you're trying to say? So if you want, you can add details, or just simply say, yes, I was speaking to you and then nothing happened. Or we have been speaking over a year, that is like it's very clear we have been doing it for some time, or we've known each other for some time. So I've just taken a context here. Now don't take the same context or the same points that I've mentioned here and put it everywhere. So you need to analyze. I'm sure that even as a beginner you will be able to analyze as adult learners if it makes sense. See, sometimes sentences could be correct grammatically, but it may not make sense when it comes to the sensibility, when it comes to the logical reasoning. It may just sound okay. It may sound grammatically correct, but it may not convey anything. So even when you draft an email, you may feel that you're not making any mistakes, but there could be a lot of potholes here and there which you need to fill, which you need to repair. Some people just take years to study all these things, and they may not be able to fluently speak. In the sense, they may not be able to convey things in the proper way. Some people may pay attention to only words. They may have a lot of words in their mind. They will be able to use it also at the appropriate time. But what happens is, their speech, their sentences will not make any sense. There will not be coherence. I mean, the sentences will not coordinate with each other with the context. Then what's the purpose of using all these words, and what is the purpose of knowing these grammatical structures and formulas and such kind of things? Your ability to describe something that's simple, your ability to convey certain things to people, whether it's in the native tongue or the foreign tongue, is important. And I don't think that you have to be highly skilled. You don't have to even use the word skill. You could just be good at speaking, in the sense you just have to convey. And if the listener is able to understand, that's fine. Okay, so when it comes to verbal communication and non-verbal communication, there are a lot of things that we have to pay attention to. Using the words accurately, using the sentences properly, and also ensuring that the person is able to understand. I do not mean to say that you can speak in any way and the other person will be able to understand. Even your look, your hand gestures, or the way you keep your face will definitely have a lot to tell the listener, the audience. So let's just sum up all that I have been trying to convey through this. It's not right to say I was talked to you for a year. You can say I was talking to you for a year. Grammatically it's fine. And also I talked to you for a year, but still if you give more clarity, then it makes sense. In the sense, communication part will be set right, it will be established. Otherwise the listener may think, okay, so what happened after that? So okay, so because of that, and also it is a kind of beginning to the details that you want to give. It foregrounds the details that you would like to give in the future, or maybe you would have already given some details and then you're trying to repeating something. So there's always a context involved. I was followed you for 1 year, which is wrong. I've been following you for 1 year. So many people who follow the YouTube channel say I was followed you for 1 year. I've been following you for 1 year. So here the emphasis is on the duration of the period, and also that you have been doing it. So it began sometime in the past and it is still continuing. So one more point is, what is the difference between past continuous and past tense? I was talking to you and that's when I received the email. So it's about something that happened for a particular period of time, or you're trying to say something that happened when another action came in. For example, I was talking to you and that's when somebody called me. I was speaking to her and that's when my mother called. So here I was speaking to someone and that's when my mother called. So it is with reference to an action or a particular point of time in the past. So continuity is there. It's something that happened in the past, but with reference to a particular time or another action. That's why we use past continuous. Past tense is used when you want to say, when you want to convey that the action is over. Okay, I spoke to her. Yes, I spoke to her at 4 p.m. It's over. Very definite. It's done. So I cannot say I was talking to you. Okay, what more? With reference to what? Details. What is the details? Okay, I spoke about the details and the clarity. That comes. That is with reference to time, with reference to another action. There is a particular point in the past. Okay, so I hope it's clear. See, when you learn different tenses, when you look at different contexts, try to see if it is coherent, if it makes sense, if it is logical, if you're able to really understand with clarity. And if you feel that it suffices the context in such a way that the listener is able to understand, no problem. So I hope you get all the points that I mentioned here. I'll be doing more videos with reference to the sentences that the learners make in real life and with reference to the repeated mistakes. Happy learning.